Namaskar. In today's class of life process, we are going to take up the topic respiration. Before going into the deeper parts, one must know what is the difference between respiration and that of breathing. Respiration is a process which takes place in the mitochondria of a cell, whereas breathing is a process which is taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. So, in one case, it is a physical process and the other one is a biochemical process. So, to know in details, let us go further. The next life process is respiration. Respiration in case of organisms takes place inside the cell. Multicellular organisms or be it a unicellular organism, it takes place inside the cell. In the cell, we know that there are various organelles, including the nucleus, including your mitochondria, vacuole, etc. It is the cytoplasm where the process of cellular respiration begins. The simple food like glucose is broken down here into pyruvic acid in the cytoplasm of a cell. This process is called as your glycolysis. From there, the 3-carbon compound pyruvic acid now enters into the cell organelle, which is called as your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of our cell. Now this mitochondria has 2 membranes. We all know that the outer membrane is intact, whereas the inner membrane is thrown into foldings, which is called as your cristae. Now inside this mitochondria is also present the matrix. So this mitochondria is the location where the next part of the cellular respiration takes place, that is called as your Krebs cycle. So Krebs cycle and glycolysis are the 2 parts of cellular respiration, that is your aerobic respiration, which takes place in presence of oxygen. Now aerobic respiration at the end of it produces ATP molecules. Now how many ATP molecules? A total of 36 ATP molecules are produced at the end of aerobic respiration. Now there is a confusion about it. In some books 36 ATP molecules are written. In some books you will find that 38 ATP molecules are written. But there is an explanation to it that which you will be reading of course in your higher classes, that 2 molecules of ATP are actually utilized while going from cytoplasm to the mitochondria. So it is better to write 36 ATP molecules. Next is your anaerobic respiration. Now anaerobic respiration is taking place in our body in the lack of oxygen as a result of too much of exercise, and it results only 2 ATP molecules. Next is your fermentation. This is seen in case of some organisms like yeast, like bacteria, which also in absence of oxygen do the process of respiration to produce 2 ATP molecules. Now this is the life process which we have read today about the cellular respiration, which starts from cytoplasm and it takes place in mitochondria as well, resulting into formation of ATP molecules. The glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, is further broken down into various compounds depending upon presence or absence of oxygen. If it is taking place in presence of oxygen in mitochondria, it is completely broken down into carbon dioxide, water and energy, which is the aerobic respiration. Sometimes in some organisms, due to the absence of oxygen, the glucose is broken down into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and only 2 ATP molecules are produced. Sometimes when we do too heavy exercises, due to lack of free molecular oxygen in our muscle cell, lactic acid is produced and energy is produced. Of course, it is because of this lactic acid only the pain becomes. Now the ATP which is produced is an energy rich compound which is having a value or energy equivalent to 30.5 kilojoules per mole, which is required for the maintenance of the life processes such as contraction of muscles, conduction of nerve impulse and many other activities. Since aerobic pathway depends upon oxygen, so it is required that sufficient amount of oxygen should be taken by an organism to perform this process of aerobic respiration. If we see in terms of organisms like fish, in an aquarium, you will find that they open and close their mouth very fastly. The reason is because the dissolved oxygen is fairly low compared to that of the oxygen amount which is present in the air. Hence, the rate of breathing is very faster in case of organisms like fishes, where they force it to pass it through the gills and take the dissolved oxygen present in the blood. The terrestrial organisms are the one which use the oxygen in the atmosphere for the respiration. Exchange of gases in case of plants takes place by three ways. One by the roots, another one by the lenticels, and third one is by means of stomata. In case of roots, the roots are provided with unicellular hair structures which helps the surface area to increase and diffuses in the oxygen which is present in between the soil particles. So this is how the exchange of gases takes place in case of plants by means of the roots. The next is your lenticels. The lenticels are the structures, length-shaped structures, which are present in case of the bark of a plant. So definitely it is the older stem or the branches of the plant through which the exchange of gases can take place in case of plants. Now, the next and the most vital part of the plant through which the exchange of gases takes place is the stomata. Now, stomata are the minute pore-like structures which are guarded by the guard cells present in the leaves of the plant as well as in the young stem of the plant. It is this stomata through which the carbon dioxide can diffuse out as a result of respiration, and oxygen too can diffuse out as a result of photosynthesis during the daytime. So depending upon the requirement of the plant, whether the carbon dioxide is to be diffused in during the daytime or the oxygen is to be diffused out during the daytime, for this the stomata are the vital organ through which exchange of gases takes place in plants. The life process, respiration, will end by the reading of human respiratory system. Human respiratory system starts with nostrils, which further goes into trachea, into the two lungs. Now in the trachea there is a place which is called larynx, which is guarded by that of an epiglottis, flap-like structure, and some clamp-like structures in the trachea. Now this trachea branches into bronchus, into the two lungs, and the bronchus further divides into bronchioles. Now these bronchioles increases the surface area. As a result, they further form some sac-like structure which is called alveoli, through which exchange of gases takes place because they are richly supplied with blood capillaries. Now let us see the breathing mechanism in human beings. Now breathing mechanism involves inhalation and exhalation, which is as a result of diaphragm, which is a muscular partition wall which is lowered during inhalation, chest is raised up. In case of exhalation, diaphragm goes up and the air is pushed out.